me do some introductions. First, in the crowd, Congressman Neal's office, Quigley, and Ms. Boyle. As you know, the Congressman has been a direct conduit for me when it comes to FEMA and tornadoes and anything in Springfield. I deeply appreciate that. As has Senator Warren's office. I really appreciate the meeting here. It was great to have Senator Warren here in town. Yesterday, in the city, President Obama's state meeting last night. So thank you for your here. I really appreciate it. Before you would be in our team aspect of the Turtle Department, people that are here have been very involved as we recover all of the bill off the plan. But let me introduce some individuals, some which are going to be speaking, some not. But Senator Jim Welch will be speaking. This will be City Council Attorney Justin Ernst, City Council Orlando Ramos. Everybody knows our Treasurer Steve Grossman will be speaking. Jack, another who's done a great job on the MSBA. City Council President Mike Fenton will be speaking. TJ Plant, our CFO, and Superintendent Dan Moore will be speaking. When we were hit by this devastating tornado, immediately one of the first phone calls I received, State Treasurer Steve Grossman, and he got out here right away to tour facilities of Brookings and Dryden, and I remember him walking through the bricks and shattered glass and wood of Brookings. And at that point in time, he gave me his word, and also at the Basketball Fame, when we had a regional meeting on tornado recovery, that he would make Springfield whole. And true to the testament of a man, he has done that. Today, the MSBA, and again, I call this the Welch event. I want to thank the delegation, but really Senator Welch for the champion this voted to make Springfield whole when it pertains to Dryden School, which we are back in, and Brookings School, which is being built, which in turn saves the taxpayers, or saves me, the city of Springfield, my general budget, about $13 million. So a very, very good day for the city of Springfield, and this could not have been done without the Treasurer Grossman and the MSBA, and we realized that over $300 million of money from the MSBA has flowed to the city of Springfield, and we're so appreciative of the partnership we have with Steve Grossman. So before I introduce him, again, testament to him, he gave us his word that he would make us whole, and he has, and we deeply appreciate that. So let's give I want to say a warm Springfield welcome to see you here all the time, and I know people, we welcome that, and remember that too. But our treasurer, my good friend, Treasurer Steve Grossman, who has brought home the bacon pertaining to rebuilding of Brookings and Dryden. Steve Grossman.
I was reminiscing on the drive out after we voted earlier today the unanimous vote of the Mass School Building Authority to increase the funding so that 100% of the cost of these two schools, other than that little over $4 million that's going to come from FEMA, will be paid by the Mass School Building Authority, which is really a commitment not of mine, but a commitment of the people of this Commonwealth. We are a Commonwealth. That's what we call ourselves. Mass School Building Authority has been here for 10 years. In 10 years, we have distributed over $10 billion of taxpayers' money to cities and towns all over the Commonwealth, and that doesn't include the local share. Over $10 billion. The maximum reimbursement rate is 80%. That's in the statute that created the MSBA. But in this particular case, after the events of June 1st, 2011, after we toured those two schools, we looked at each other and said, we've got to go to work and make the people of this community whole. That's what we are. That's what we're all about. That's what teamwork is all about. This isn't about me. The most important word in English language is we. We work together. The governor gave a State of the Commonwealth address last night. It was his final address as governor giving the State of the Commonwealth. He said something that made me think of another leader He said, Massachusetts is in the leadership business. Well, I thought about Domenic Sarno, and I said, Springfield is in the leadership business, Domenic Sarno is the leadership business. Because although Domenic will give credit, and I will give credit, to a whole community that came together, that's been devastated over the years by the loss of jobs, and then by the tornado. A city that could have lost hope. Every community needs a leader during a time of crisis. Domenic brought the city together. He brought the business community together. He brought the nonprofit community together. He brought the religious community together. He brought the political leadership together. And together, we have succeeded in putting Springfield on track to be the powerhouse that Springfield has always been. I reminisced a little bit about my grandfather. My grandfather came here more than 100 years ago, walked to the front door of the United States Envelope Company, an immigrant with a 6th grade education. And he said, if you give me some credit, number one, I'll never stick here for a dime. Number two, someday I'll become your biggest customer. They believed him. They helped Max Grossman open a business over 100 years ago, a Springfield company, to a young man who had come from Russia and never got past the 6th grade. I could never repay the debt that our family owes the city of Springfield and its people. So when we toured the schools, when we sat together, stood together at the Basketball Hall of Fame, the commitment was we would do everything we can to return these 2 schools without it costing the taxpayers of the city of Springfield a dime. A unique event. It's never happened in the history of the Mass School Building Authority. And God willing, it will never happen again because we won't suffer natural disasters like this again. We know that's not likely to happen. We're going to have them again. We stand together. And today we stand together. Educational leadership, political leadership, religious leadership, civic leadership, and most of all, people of this great city. Because now that we're back in Dryden, and we'll be back in a new Brookings school a year from now, we'll give the young people of this city the resources they need to realize their full potential. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's the kind of leadership we provide. The fact that as a result of this unanimous vote today, Jack McCarthy was the one who explained this vote to the board. Jack is our executive director, spent 9 years at the Inspector General's office. He knows that the job of government is what? It's to watch every dime we spend. It's to spend every dime wisely. That's what we have done. I can't think of a better investment that the taxpayers or the Commonwealth have made than to bump that number from 25 million to 38 million. And by doing so, by the time Brookings is open in a year, be able to return these 2 schools to the people of Springfield without it costing the people of Springfield a dime. So we're in the leadership business. This is the captain of the ship. He helped make this happen. He's the catalyst. And when I stand here, backed up by members of the City Council, by my dear friend Mike Fenton, the President of the Council, by the Superintendent, by Jack McCarthy, my partner, every step of the way, the Executive Director of the Mass School Building Authority, we are a team. When we come together and act as a team, when we realize that we're all in this to serve the people of this great city, that has been a great city for so long, and is continuing to grow and develop and flourish as we speak. Of course, it's not just this project. It's new science labs. It's Putnam and a variety of other investments we continue to make. We believe in Springfield because Springfield believes in itself and its greatness. Out of a tornado came a renewed sense of civic spirit and civic engagement. That will propel Springfield to heights of achievement that nobody can even imagine. That's why today is a day of great optimism. That's why I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Well put, Mr. Treasurer, and I think you are paying us back for your father being here. We appreciate that very much as we continue to work forward. In the legislature, I'm very appreciative of the delegation, including Senator Welch, and I call the Welch Amendment, really led the charge. And we have Senator Welch come up with that City Council President Mike Fenton. I want to thank the City Council TJ will tell you that, and Jen and Denise and others. I had to throw a lot of money out there because we had to respond efficiently, effectively, and passionately, immediately. And working with the city council was able to float millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now that the treasurer's gave his word and kept his word, that we don't have to come across with. So, Senator Welch, Jim, I appreciate your leadership, and let me introduce the Welch amendment.
Well, thank you. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. And, as an elected official, sometimes things can be frustrating because you're trying to accomplish things that you know are for the good. This is certainly an instance where you know you were trying to accomplish something for the good. You're trying to accomplish something for the citizens of Springfield after a tragedy like the tornado, for the school children of Brookings and Dryden. There wasn't a lot of frustration with this situation because, as the treasurer put it perfectly, everybody worked together. It was a perfect example of the team coming together, all levels of government. Treasurer Grossman, from day one, worked together with the legislative delegation. I want to take a moment to identify them. Senator Canderas, Representative Swan, Representative Coakley-Rivera, Representative Curran, Representative Pupolo, Representative Petrovati. I know I might be forgetting a couple representatives, Representative Finn, who also represents Springfield. But it was a team effort. All of us that represent Springfield at the State House came together. We met with Treasurer Grossman in his office, and he had the idea. He was willing to listen. He wanted to make sure that Springfield was made whole, that the school children that attended Brookings, that the families that sent their children to Brookings and Dryden were going to have a safe place to send their school children, to send their children back to school. And he followed through on that promise. Treasurer, I want to thank you for your commitment, for your follow-through, for your tenacity, and most of all, for your passion. Because without you, none of this would have been possible. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. Just thank you for your stick-to-itiveness for Springfield. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the money.
And yeah, and a lot of times it's about dollars and cents, but I think in the end, this story is really going to be about the positive things that are going to come out of those two schools. It's going to be the great things that the school children do, and the positive things that are already coming out of those two schools. I think the positive things under Principal Poe and all those great stories that are happening and will continue to happen are going to make these dollars and cents, stories pale in comparison to all the great things that those kids are going to achieve over the years. And I look forward to those days. I really do. The smiles on the faces of those kids when they break through those doors on the first day of the brand new school is going to make us all very happy. And I think that's what we're all in for, to make sure that we're passing on to the next generation, positive resources, positive things to make sure our kids have the very best, to make sure that they can achieve everything that they possibly can. It was a team effort. I know the mayor likes to call it the Welch Amendment. I thank him for that, but it really truly was a team effort. Like I said, it takes more than one person to make anything happen. It really took the entire Springfield delegation. The last thing I want to say is, I'm not really a big hugger, but this really means a lot to me. This is big dollars and cents type of thing. So I'm going to call the treasurer up here. This means a lot to me. I want to show you. This was big, so thank you very much.
Thank you. On that huggable moment. Senator Welch, you mentioned about education and further Rivera across America. The number one and 1A things that have to be done to knock down poverty and public safety rates is education, rural and jobs. 1A, and the key starts with our schools and our teachers moving forward. Again, for the City Council, which is represented here today, but also represented by the Council President, Attorney Michael Fenton, I had to throw a lot of money. millions and millions of dollars, and the city council was there to help me move forward on the responses that we had to give. And I really appreciate that as we continue to work together moving forward. So that is put your hands together for our city council president, Attorney Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership in the course of the tornado, and thank you, Senator Welch, for your leadership, particularly on this issue. I'm also joined here, as the Mayor and the Senator have mentioned, by my colleagues, at-large Councilor Justin Hurst and Ward 8 Councilor Orlando Ramos. When the tornado hit, it was a very substantial hit to the spirit of the city, that fateful day in June. The Mayor and his team in the city came together to help make that moment transformative. People rallied behind those that were in need. And we're stronger today for that. This is the last piece of that puzzle. Treasurer Grossman, who I consider an honorary resident of the city of Springfield, based on the volume of trips that he takes to this part of the state, has been a leader in this endeavor from the very beginning. He was here, witnessed the damage, and made a commitment that the Mayor has indicated he's lived up to today. And the Mayor also spoke about bonding and the capacity that the Council authorized through cooperation with the CAFO, TJ plant, and the Mayor's office to make some of these projects possible. The City acted swiftly, and the executive branch, in the form of the Mayor, and the legislative delegation, in the form of the City Council, worked collaboratively to make that possible. And when we did it, we knew that the risk was high. We knew that the MSBA does reimburse on a regular basis for school projects. And we knew that the treasurer was committed to reimbursing this project on a higher level, but we did not know the extent. Today, because of the treasurer's efforts and the leadership of Jack McCarthy and the MSBA board, the city of Springfield is in a $13 million better position than we could have ever anticipated. And I'm speechless, because in a city that's west of 495, this type of activism and leadership on the state level from a constitutional officer is unprecedented. So I want to thank the treasurer for his commitment, our honorary Springfield resident. Again, thank you to the Mayor for your leadership in this terrible disaster. The rest of the team, everybody has come collectively to make it possible, and today is a great day for the city. So thank you.
We're going to close with what it means to our kids with our Superintendent Dan Warwick, who is with his team recently a bevy of great announcements as we continue to move our education system forward, and I appreciate the media playing that. And after Superintendent Warwick finishes, the Treasurer Grossman is available for any and all questions that you might have. Put your hands together for our hardworking Superintendent Dan Warwick.
I'd like to echo some of the comments made here today. The devastation in those neighborhoods and around those schools, and I live in the neighborhood right around Drive School, so I know it firsthand after the tornado was just incredible. And within a week, the treasurer was out here with us, with folks from the MSBA and Jack McCarthy, to see what he could do to help. And he made a commitment to us. He made that commitment and he lived up to it, 100% reimbursement. But that's just one story of what the MSBA has done for us over the years. Over the last few years, over $300 million in projects. And technical high school, a completely renovated Forest Park, the $30 million plus science wing at Central High School, now Dryden, and Brookings, a neighborhood that's just been devastated. It's one project after another. But in addition to the new building projects, I think they have the foresight to say, urban centers like Springfield, our average school is over 55 years old. And those schools need a lot of work. Over $30 million in building wrap improvements, windows, doors, roofs, done across the city. So over 23 schools have been impacted just in the last few years. So, and I look and take a moment to say that Dryden School, an urban school, #1 school in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in elementary math. Going through those schools right after the tornado, I was in both schools the next morning and seeing the devastation, but seeing what's going on now at Drive School is it's complete. We have a building that's going to take us forward 50 years. And we're just very grateful. So on behalf of our 26,000 students and the citizens of Springfield, I just can't tell Steve Grossman how much we appreciate him as treasurer. He's been out here constantly, and he's just been a tremendous help. And Jack McCarthy from the MSBA, also Senator Welch, our legislative delegation, city council, and our education mayor, Domenic Sarno. Every time we bring a project forward, he finds a way in tough times to get the funding for us, whether it's lobbying in Boston or coming up with the bonding here. And together, we're moving the school system forward and the city forward. But again, the partnership with the treasurer has been incredible. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you.
Behind the scenes, a lot of stuff goes on, and Jack McCarthy, TJ Plant, my CSO, I see Matt down out there. You know, nuts and bolts are done behind the scenes in the city departments and school departments. And we do appreciate your work. It's not sexy, but it helps us get the money to do the sexy projects. So, Jack, you, TJ, Matt, and the rest of the city, I appreciate it. For any questions or comments you might have. Treasurer Grossman.
I think we've covered a lot, but anybody has any questions about this or anything else that has to do with the city and its future economically, educationally, have to answer them. Anyone?
Today's vote, there was an advance vote. Was it on one or both of those schools that we talked about?
Two separate votes, because there are two separate projects. But in both cases, when you take a look at the money that has been now authorized to be paid, and add to it the FEMA money, and the FEMA money is allocated to each project. The total of the two now adds up to $38 million, and the FEMA money is a little bit over $4 billion. So round numbers, it was at 25, now at 38, so there's an additional $13 million been voted, which with the FEMA money taken into account, will reimburse 100% of the cost of the projects. And we've got a little bit of material, and Matt Dunham would be happy to give you a little bit more detail, or Jack, about the numbers if you want to delve into the numbers. Please.
The vote was today, it was unanimous, but since the tornado, we probably had to lobby for this for a while. How was that? Was it difficult to try to get everyone on board with this State House?
Actually not. I think the MSBA, when it was created 10 years ago, was created in an environment where people recognized that the way we built and authorized and built schools was broken. The process was just not working. And the legislature, what I think is one of the most distinguished acts in the last generation, said we're going to create a new vehicle, the MSBA, and we're going to fund it. And for those who aren't aware of it, MSBA is fundamentally funded by 1 penny of the sales tax. Next year, fiscal 15, the budget that's being the governor just announced his budget. It goes through the budget process. We're talking about $771 billion of sales tax revenue. And we do new projects, we do new roofs and boilers and windows. So the MSBA was created, and the maximum reimbursement was 80%, because it was felt that every community has to have skin in the game, depending upon their economic circumstances, maximum being 80%. In this particular case, the legislature understood that when one of the great cities in Massachusetts, one of the great cities in New England, is lying in ruins, that you pick the city up and you partner and you hold hands and you stay together every step of the way. So when we talked to Senator Welch and the members of the delegation, and we assessed with the other leadership of the legislature what it would mean to ask for an exception, a unique exception. This has never happened before, only once in 10 years. It was clear that if you define a commonwealth as a coming together of 6.7 million people, understanding that we stand with each other in moments of crisis, that's what a great state is all about. And again, you need a mayor who was seen as playing a leadership role, you need a council, you need the religious community, nonprofit community, everybody came together. And when Senator Welch offered his amendment through the rest of the delegation, it was accepted willingly by the legislature. That gave us the vehicle, and the board came together today. You have the vote today. So this was a process that was, I think, preordained from day one that no one was going to walk away from Springfield. No one is going to say, you're on your own. And I think that's a great lesson for anybody in crisis to understand how we as citizens come together. And all of our 351 cities and towns in a moment of crisis, in a moment of great anxiety.
Now, you have to realize that the treasurer, outstanding business admin and numbers, and we're very happy to indicate the city of Springfield standing for his first time in the city's history, AA upgrade we just received on that. So I know that's music to his ears. So I'm very announced yesterday. I appreciate that. Doing in front of the treasurer, who's an outstanding numbers person, finances and business.
And it saves money. And that money gets reallocated to other things. We make investments. Each citizen of Springfield, every person who lives in the Commonwealth has to know that when we make an investment, we've got to show taxpayers that we're getting a return on that investment. No one doubts that this investment in driving bookings is going to pay dividends for generations to come. So that's why I think this was a teamwork or a consensus. This was the right thing to do.
When will construction be completed on the Brookings School, and when will we be able to move back there?
Danny, what are we looking at there?
January, February of next year, next school year.
A year from now?
A year from now in Brookings. And Dryden, we're already in and using the new facility completely.
We look forward to having the treasurer back out here, maybe in a treasurer capacity or in a different capacity, hopefully, cutting the ribbon.
Heck, I'll be back this Friday night. Pretty hard to go 48 hours without coming back to Springfield. Anybody else?
And the treasurer's available for any type of interviews also. Great, thank you very much.